Hey, what's going on, man? Brand new episode of the Foul Pole to Foul Pole podcast, brought to you by our friends over at the Carolina Patriot Collegiate League. If you haven't had a chance to check them out yet, man, check it out. It's cpatriotcl.com. Brand new summer softball league coming to the Carolinas during the months of June and July. Going to have incoming college freshmen looking to get their feet wet in the college game. You've got kids in the transfer portal looking for a new home. Then you've got other ones that are just looking to stay sharp. There's a lot going on. Go check it out, cpatriotcl.com. You can register, or fans, you can stay up to date with all the information. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at the Nexus Mount. Our turnkey kits provide a secure and hassle-free way to attach multiple devices to any fence, net, or tripod. Crafted from lightweight aluminum with a powder-coated finish, our mounts are built to last. But that's not all. Our innovative design features a removable shade cover to protect your devices from direct sunlight during your outdoor streaming events, which will minimize the risk of overheating. Don't settle for anything less than perfection. Unleash the full potential of your streaming experience with the Nexus Mount. Visit us today at thenexusmount.com and elevate your game. All right, let's get going with today's episode. I'm your host, Coach Tyler from Black Diamond Softball and Fitness. We've got an exciting episode for you today. A lot going on. We're going to cover a lot of different things. But first, I want to get into this weekend's action. Got a big-time matchup, man. Number 1, Oklahoma taking on number 4, Texas. Texas is at home during this series. It's going to be a lot of fun. Which team breaks first? Can both teams continue to put up runs? Can Oklahoma continue to play shutdown defense when they need to? Can Oklahoma deal with Texas's speed? What kind of stuff does Patty Gasso have up her sleeve? What's Mike White going to do to kind of keep the ball in the yard? I mean, it's a fun matchup. I can't wait for that. That's probably going to be the series that I watch the most. Another big-time matchup is LSU and Florida. Keegan Rothrock taking on Taylor Pleasance. It's a fun matchup. Both of those studs looking to really put their stamp on this season. Rothrock has been pitching lights out. Taylor Pleasance is absolutely just an animal on the ball field. Just it's shortstop, offensively as well. Man, it's a great matchup. Looking forward to that. A fun matchup for me is Virginia Tech taking on NC State. I love both teams. Both teams play very well. Tough, gritty type teams looking to really put their stamp on the season. Can NC State get a couple of wins over a Virginia Tech team, or can Virginia Tech do what they should do what they're supposed to do, get this series win, and really try to close that gap a little bit more with them and Duke. Big time matchup for me, again, is the Missouri-Arkansas matchup. I love both teams. Both teams are gritty. Have had a couple of big wins this season for both teams, really. Arkansas has a really good pitching staff. Who's going to really make their mark offensively this weekend? Fun matchup is going to be Georgia and Tennessee. Tennessee is at home during this matchup. You got the number 9 team in the country, Georgia, traveling to Tennessee to take on the number 7 team. A lot of fun, a lot of good pitching in that matchup. Offense, whose offense is going to be able to break through? So this weekend, tons and tons of action. If you don't have that ESPN Plus app, man, you've got to get it, because there are games going all weekend long. I mean, we start Saturday morning at noon with Georgia, Tennessee, and the last game of the day is an 8 o'clock matchup with Oklahoma, Texas, and then also Washington, Oregon. If you haven't watched that Washington team play, they're a lot of fun, play sound defense, can put runs up in a hurry. So cool matchups this weekend. If you don't have too much going on, you're sort of recovering from that Easter weekend. This is a great weekend to really just sit in, check out some games, check it out on the ESPN Plus app. All right. As we move through today's episode, I really want to get into goals. We haven't talked that much about goals lately. It used to be something I talked a lot about. But I kind of wanted to circle back to that and really get into the 3 different types of goals. I think, we throw that word goals around, setting goals, that kind of stuff. We talk about that a lot, but I don't think that athletes and the young ones truly understand what goals are and how to go about attaining those goals. Because, for me, on a personal side, I like to set goals. For the most part, goals can be confidence boosting. But if we set those goals too far out, or we just have these goals that we really can't attain right now, or it's just not feasible for where we're at, they could sort of shake our confidence a little bit, or almost put us into a different mood. So I want to talk about the 3 different types and then sort of when we need to focus on them, and kind of how those three sort of play together. So if you don't know, there are process goals, there are performance goals, and then of course there are outcome goals. Now we tend to, at a immature age, and not trying to be mean about the word immature, but at an age where we're just not seasoned enough, we just haven't had a whole bunch of experience, we tend to send our goals into the outcome realm. That's where it goes. It's like, we want to get this win. We want to be millionaires. We want this. We want that. Like, that's our ultimate end all be all outcome goal. But we really don't set performance goals to get there. And we really don't look at the process goals, what we need to do to get to that performance, to get to that outcome. So just a couple of definitions to give you sort of the scientific terms for this. Process goals are individual steps taken to reach performance goals and ultimately achieve outcome goals. What this is building habits around process goals, such as running a certain number of miles per week, sets the stage for an achievement. Now, as we're looking into performance goals, they measure progress. It's like losing a specific amount of weight, or they're more challenging as outcome goals can be fully controlled, but they bridge the gap between daily habits and final aspirations. And then, of course, we have outcome goals, which are what you're trying to achieve, like running a half marathon or losing a target amount of weight in a significant amount of time or for a significant event. These goals are hardest to control due to the external factors, but flexibility and persistence can help manage the uncertainties. So when we talk about setting goals, it's like, what is a goal, or like, what is goal setting? Like, you're just sitting around, you're thinking about this. Oh, I'd like to do this someday. But when it comes to goal setting, many people mistakenly think it only refers to these big, important life goals. And many completely underestimate the value of the little steps that it takes to get to those big dreams, to get to those big moments. Really, goal setting is the fact of planning for the future in an organized way by intentionally setting the individual steps we need to take to achieve our ultimate goals. And, the benefits of setting those goals, it sort of maps it out just a little bit. I mean, we can go through life not really having a plan, doing too much, and we kind of just go with it. And some people are like that, and I get that, I understand that. But for me and a lot of other people, like, I have to have direction. I have to have something for me to sort of grab onto. Like, I have to stay on track, or like I'll start to lose focus on different things. And some of the biggest things, like when you talk about sort of staying motivated to complete these steps, there's like a couple of things that you can keep in mind. And some of the big keywords for me is words like focus. You'll know exactly what it is that you need to do in that next step. Like, if you're focused on a goal and you have a plan for it, giving yourself that attention. I mean, it is necessary to avoid getting sidetracked on it. It's hard in the beginning, but you have to stay. You have to give it the attention that it deserves. If you set a goal, give it the attention. Breathe life into it. And also, at the same time, be persistent with it. You have these clear lines of sight as far as, this is what I want to achieve between now and, say, May 5th. Like, this is exactly what I want to do. Be innovative in whatever it is that you're doing. That's a key word for me. Readdress or sort of redefine where your focus is. And if you have to, do something, extraordinary, out of the box that you're really not used to. Learning new things about yourself, learning new ways to do stuff. How can I implement getting on the treadmill in the morning? What do I have to do? So maybe I have to pre-plan this at night to take care of some of the stuff I would normally do in the morning. Let me go ahead and take care of this stuff at night. Now, of course, sometimes the schedule is what it is and you can't avoid it. But, if there's something you could do, maybe we pre-plan our meals or something like that. So instead of taking that time in the morning to do whatever, clean up this or do that or make this meal or do whatever, you sort of readjust your schedule so that you do have time to maybe get on the treadmill or to read or something, whatever your goal may be. And then think about this, that personal growth, all your experience, everything that you're going through, you're going to be able to teach someone. If you have kids or if you have loved ones or whatever, you're going through different things that you're going to be able to teach from. And, taking on that goal of having personal satisfaction, whatever that is, being honest with yourself. We talked a lot about that honesty this week, being honest with yourself. None of this stuff can happen unless you set proper goals. And you're setting goals all the time that you don't, they're like dreams. I wish I had a new car. Okay, well, that's a goal, right? That's a goal. You have a goal of getting a new car. Well, that's an awesome end goal. Everybody likes a new car, right? But how are you going to go about that? Like, your outcome goal is to get that new car. Well, let's backtrack and go to that process goal. How are we going to do this? Well, it takes money, right? Well, you got to figure out what's your plan to get more money. Are we taking on a side gig? Are we taking on a part-time job? Are we saving money somewhere? Because, got to have money. Boom. Once we have that process goal in place, then we need to hit those performance goals. If I'm taking a side gig, if I'm going to be a photographer, if I'm going to do something like that, then I actually have to put those hours in. That performance goal, like, hey, this week I want to dedicate 10 hours to this side income. And then eventually the process meets the performance, meets the outcome. And boom, before you know it, you got a new car. Now, it may not come in 6 months. It may not come in a year. It may not come in 2 years. But along the way, 3, 4, 5 years later, you've hit that outcome goal because your performance goals were in place and you were able to meet the performance goals because you set up your process goals. Process goals are the initial thing. So as we're going through and you're trying to set up like SMART goals, right? We want to be able to set right goals, but we also need to go about it the right way to meet those goals. So I love acronyms. Being in the Marine Corps, I'm a big time acronym guy. So let's look at the acronym SMART, right? When we're talking about goals, let's set specific goals. Be as detailed as possible when you set these goals. Be specific on what you want to do. Make sure they are measurable, right? Know how you'll be tracking your progress. Easy one to kind of make the analogy is weight loss, right? If you weigh twice a week, once a week, or whatever, you're able to track that. You're able to measure that, okay? Make sure the goal is attainable. Now, we do shoot some big goals out there, and hey, it is what it is. Let's shoot them out there. Good deal. We can have short-term, long-term goals. We talk about those a lot too, but make sure that they are realistic, but they also are challenging, right? I want to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay. That's a realistic goal. But if you go to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be tough to hit that goal, right? So if you have just a simple, like an outcome goal is to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Performance, how are we going to get there? How are we going to get there? Well, we need to go to sleep at a decent time when we need to set some alarms to get there. So that's my performance, right? The process of that is to make it possible for me to do that. Getting a good night's sleep, setting your alarm clocks, getting stuff done so you will be able to go to bed at that time, right? Getting your work done, whatever it is that you got to get done. So there's a process to getting up at that time. All right. So, and make sure these goals are relevant. That's the R in SMART. Make sure they're relevant. Make sure the goal that you're setting aligns with what you're doing. Maybe we don't set a certain goal right now because that's sort of not where we're at in life right now. Right. And then make sure they're time-based. Set a realistic time for this. If you want to run a marathon, you don't have enough time to get yourself prepared in 2 weeks, maybe 2 years, maybe 18 months, maybe a year. So set these goals, but be realistic in the time frame that you have. Okay. Specific goals, measurable goals, attainable goals, relevant goals, and time-based goals. Okay. As we move through this, we'll talk about the sort of the big three, the process, the performance, and the outcome. But these goals, man, they're all going to be different for whoever. And you can set a goal for really anything. You can set a goal for whatever it is that you have in life because you want to be able to sort of build upon these goals. I mean, if we have a goal, I want to be president of the United States someday. Well, man, that's a lofty goal, but that's probably not an attainable goal for 99.99% of us in this world, right? It's just not going to happen like that. So let's set some realistic ones. All right. So let's get into process goals, right? Process goals and performance goals are both necessary when you're moving toward an outcome goal. Well, what's the difference between a process and a performance goal? Well, process goals are the individual steps you will take to reach the performance goal on your way to that outcome goal. So it's sort of like this. If your outcome goal is to run a marathon in a 6-month time period, your performance goal must be to run a total of 20 miles in a week, or 15 miles in a week, or whatever that is. While your process goal might only be to run 5 miles every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday over the next 2 months. So you're breaking them down. We're setting this huge goal, and then we're breaking it down into parts. You're in complete control of your process goals. It's a matter of completing a small task or a group of tasks on a regular basis, and you're the only one who can decide to do them or not. These are the first steps you're taking towards the ultimate goal that you're setting. Now, if we look at performance goals, they are a way to measure progress. They are the result of and larger than the process goals you complete on a daily basis. Sort of like, as an example, if you're aiming to lose, say, 20 pounds before your wedding or before prom or before whatever, you might set a process goals of eating 1,500 calories each day and exercising for at least 20 minutes, 4 days a week. Your performance goal, for instance, could be where you lose 2 pounds a week and you're seeing a specific sort of, workout that you're doing, or this type of diet that you're doing, or whatever. Performance goals are more difficult to control as there's more chance of things to not go exactly how you're planning them. You might only lose 1.5 pounds during the week and 1.8 pounds the next week. So it's putting you sort of behind your schedule of your overall weight loss. You can control your actions, which are directly linked to the process goals, but it's harder to control these because it's performance. You're putting it into it. And then there's some intangible stuff. There's some variables, some things that are going on that may be out of your control. Like, you did set your process goals, but as you're sort of measuring them along the way, your performance is sort of getting moved around. It's sort of being dictated by things that are outside of your control. Now, at the end of the day, you have the outcome goals, the ones that are at the very end. Outcome goals are the actual ultimate goals that you're trying to reach by completing your process and your performance goals. These are like the final results of all your hard work, or the lack thereof. For example, your outcome goal could be to lose 20 pounds before your wedding, or to run, say, a half marathon in 6 months. Well, these goals are very difficult to control as they tend to be subject to the challenges and unforeseen circumstances that you have. Sometimes you'll need to reevaluate your outcome goals based on the progress you're making with your process goals and your performance goals. You could set this lofty goal. I want to save $15,000 in a year. Well, you could have some medical expense. You could have some car trouble. You could have something that you didn't see along the way that sort of affects that performance goal that you'd set. The performance goal would be, I want to save $1,200 every month. Well, okay. Your process goals is not eating out as much, working, extra jobs, doing this and that. So you're working your process goals. You're hitting somewhat of your performance goals of sometimes, well, I was able to save 1,000 this month. I was able to do 1,100 last month. I was able to do 1,500 the month before that. But then all of a sudden, during your performance portion of your performance goals or whatnot, you loaned somebody some money, or you had car trouble, or you had some medical expense. That sort of affects that performance goal, which can in turn affect your outcome goal. So that's sort of another analogy, because, everybody likes to talk about money. Learning about yourself, learning the goals that you need to set. You're going to hit some goals, and some goals you're just not going to hit, but don't let that stop you from setting goals. We talk a ton about softball and a lot of different sports and stuff. But the end all goal could be to play college softball. I mean, that's sort of a generic, broad brush, right? When we're talking about it, but it's something that we can all sort of relate to. You have this goal of playing college softball. You may not have a specific goal of playing D1 softball at Duke. You could just have it as, I want to play college softball, whatever works for me, whatever fits for me. Well, performance goals along the way that you can hit, and these aren't specific. These aren't. Some of these are, might be a good example for some and not a great example for some others. But it could be making an all-region team. It could be making an all-tournament team. It could be, playing in some of these power pools, like in Colorado or PGS or whatever. It could be some of those performance. Well, the process goals is to get your body there to that point. Working out, hitting extra balls off the tee, getting your extra reps in, hitting the gym, doing this and that. So, understanding sort of the definitions of performance, process, and the ultimate or the outcome goals, it's going to help you set proper goals. There's a big difference between hopes, wishes, dreams, and goals. They can all sort of get tied into one, but then when you break them down, the difference between a goal and a dream, there's not a big difference, but it's almost like when you set a goal, it gives you something to go after. And we all dream of different things. Dream of owning an island somewhere where nobody can get to us, if you're like me, or owning some big old compound where, my house is in the center of a 5 mile lot, 5 square miles where you can't find me. Honestly though, if we look at it realistically, you're going to start with that ultimate goal. You're going to start with the biggest outcome goal that there is, right? And then you're going to backtrack. It's like, well, how am I going to get to this? All right. Well, I'm setting these process goals, and then I got to put the work in, and that's how I'm going to do it. So think of it as the process goals are how you're going to achieve that ultimate goal. And in between the process and the ultimate is that performance. And it's something that we can measure. We're getting our results back, so we set these process goals of whatever we're going to do. And then during that performance moment or during that performance time frame, we're getting our confidence from hitting goals, and we're able to adjust our goal. We still have our ultimate goal, but we're able to sort of adjust how we get there by looking at the performance. It's science, man. Sometimes it is as simple as trial and error. But during that process, goal setting, we have this perfect conditions sort of mindset. This is exactly how I'm going to do it, when I'm going to do it, how, all that good stuff. But when you're actually in that performance part of it, there's a lot of outside factors that can affect sort of what you're doing. You do have this end goal of losing 100 pounds in a year. And as you're setting your goals, something could happen. You could have an injury, you can have an illness. It could affect you in some different way to where you're in that measurable time frame. You maybe don't hit that mark. As you're setting those small short-term goals, you may not be able to hit that mark along the way for reasons that you can't control. But it still shouldn't stop us from at least having a plan. So when you're thinking about this process, look at it as planning. During that performance, this is the hard work that you're putting in, but also understand that you can't control everything. All right. So don't get discouraged when the performance part of the sort of goal setting doesn't go exactly how you saw it. Like I said, that the process is mint condition, perfect scenario. I live in a bubble. Performance is real life. Can't help it if whatever happens. I mean, we could look at something as big as COVID. There was a bunch of goals and a lot of things had to get shifted around because of the unknown, right? Some stuff was just out of our control. And it is what it is. But we still want to have our ultimate, outcome goals put in place. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you got something out of it. I did get a little bit long-winded in different things, talking about it. I do apologize for that. But, the message is the same. Continue to encourage our athletes to set goals. And it may help most, understand how to set their goals if they understand the definitions and they can actually get into it. Some people like to learn it that way. I know when I'm talking about goals with my team or my kids or whatever, proper expectations helps you set goals. Remember to dream big, have these ultimate goals, have them align with your dreams. And then with your performance goals, have a plan. And with your process goals, again, have some sort of, this is how I'm going to get there, All right. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, man. cpatriotsco.com. Players, if y'all want to jump in on it, find out some more information, get registered, check it out. Nexus Mount, man, parents, I know you guys are trying to stream games, get some footage, record, whatever. Go check out thenexusmount.com. You're going to find a mount that's going to fit your phone, your GoPro, your Mevo, anything that you're using. There's a solution for you. And there's always a contact button on there. Click that contact if you got any questions or whatever. Tell them Coach Tyler from Black Diamond sent you over there. If you share this, man, I will appreciate it. Share it with somebody that, just maybe acquaintance or somebody that on a team and say, hey, check this guy out, man. He's talking about goals and whatever. I appreciate that. And as always, if you share it with a friend, be sure you tell them you love them.